Greetings, board members and community members. I just want to take a few minutes and go over the agenda that we have for our August board meeting. Anyone can scan this with their QR code and download this document, and we'll be having this meeting at 6 o'clock at the high school, or people can attend by Zoom, as we've been doing for quite a while now. Some of the main things that we're going to be going over: minutes, of course, obligations, United Clubs, administration reports. There's a video that I just made. If you want to watch it, it's a little bit long because we had a lot of things going on, and a kind of facilities update on what happened over the summertime. We're also having a presentation from CASA, the court-appointed personnel that they have for students that are in the foster care system. And they're going to be joining with Child Protective Services in Montana. It's actually Department of Health and Human Services, but everyone knows them as CPS, or Child Protective Services. Some items for consideration. We have the calendars for the next 2 years. These calendars look like the calendars that we had 2 years ago. That we have Fridays off in the fall, and we have we have Fridays off in the spring, and we go to school on Fridays in the fall. So this seems to be a pretty good compromise. This is 2023 to 2024. Please go through this and let me know if you have any questions on that. We also have exceptional students to enroll. So by law, any student that enrolls in transitional kindergarten has to be approved by the board, and they are approved because of their exceptional circumstances. You can read the law here and the different qualifying factors that are associated with enrolling those students. We've listed the students and the different items that we recommend that the board enroll these students based upon these qualifying factors. And we may have a few more students coming in, but these are the ones that we have right now. And we've been doing this since we've established a transitional kindergarten. We have a couple people to hire. The board approved Nikki Eide about 2 months ago. We neglected to include the board to approve her 10 years of experience. So we're recommending that the board approve her 10 years of experience. We also recommend that the board approve Dean Jettings as the high school baseball coach. Now, Dean has quite a bit of experience in baseball. He is well known in Troy. He used to be a therapist at the school for a number of years and does a great job. I included his resume here. We recommend that the board approve Jeff Hawk as a high school assistant football coach. Again, Jeff has coached junior high football and has been an assistant high school football coach for a number of years and done a great job with his experience. Adam Stevenson and Brianna Burton, we recommend both of them being approved to be classified personnel. Adam is a licensed teacher, taught in Alaska for a couple of years and has relocated. Is not interested in a teaching position right now, but is interested to work as a paraprofessional. Brianna Burton has worked in the food service in another school district, worked in a grocery store for a number of years, has 3 children in our school district, and we're excited to be able to offer her a position here working with our team. We have an MOU that we recommend to the board. This one is for classroom instructors. This is for our classified staff, our support staff. And so there are times when we have our paraprofessionals, our instructional aides that act as the classroom instructor. They run the class. They do it all under the direction of a teacher. And we don't do it very often. We're recommending to do it for PE in elementary school next year. We've done it at the high school with intervention and in some different areas. So what we're recommending is that if an aide is running a class similar to a teacher acting as the instructor, that they will be assigned pay in class 2. So they'll get paid like a secretary does with those extra duties that they have. The classified staff have already approved it, so we need the board to consider this also. The next up is the project development agreement. So this is the design build phase. This is where Johnson Controls is going to design out our entire project that we need to have done to update and improve our HVAC system. It's a pretty hefty cost. We've already sent out bids to many other engineering firms. The board approved Johnson Controls to be our engineering firm that we go with. They've gotten back to us with this development agreement which would, again, it would update, it would give us the engineering plans for all of our buildings, and from our high school to our elementary school. Initially, we thought about maybe just doing one building, but we thought if we can only do one building, at least we'll have all the engineering plans done and drawn up, because they're going to have engineers here anyway. So we thought we might as well just get all the designs completed at the same time. If at the end we don't have enough to do both buildings, we can just focus on the high school building. It's the one building that needs to have the HVAC updated the most, and we can focus on the elementary school a little bit later at a little bit later time. So next up, the big reason why we have our August board meeting is our budget hearing. And this Montana budgets, school finance, they say Montana has one of the top 3 most difficult school budgeting programs in the nation. So if you get confused, don't feel bad. Please come in and talk to me. I'd be happy to talk to you through the whole system and process. We've been doing it for quite a while now. So I've tried to boil it down the most that I can to give the board members a snapshot of what things had looked like in the past and what we're proposing for this year. So over the past 10 years, you can see what our general fund is in our elementary, our transportation, our bus depreciation, our tuition, our retirement, our adult education, building reserve, and our debt service. This is paying for the activity center. So our general fund, 90% of our general fund goes towards staff salaries, just staff salaries and benefits. And it has increased. This number is not a thought up number. This is a number from the state. The state tells you how the maximum amount you can levy and the minimum amount that you levy. This is the maximum amount that we can levy without going to the community for a vote. And this just helps in our day-to-day operations. In transportation, $380,000. It's gone up from last year because gas prices are getting more expensive. We increased the pay for bus drivers, so it's going to cost us a little bit more. And you can see that it's progressively gotten more and more for transportation. And I wish there was other ways that we could figure out to reduce costs. And hopefully gas prices will be going down here soon. Bus depreciation helps us pay for buses. So we amass a certain amount of bus depreciation funds from year to year. And then when we have enough funds and we need a bus, that's when the district will purchase a bus. Tuition, it's a weird name. Why they call it tuition? We're not getting tuition from other districts or from private students or anything like that. Tuition, this number right here is actually to help fund our high needs students. So when you have a high needs student that has to be paired with another staff member to work one-on-one because they need that extra help and support, that's where those funds are coming from. Now, the tuition fund it's limited also how much you can levy based upon how many high needs students that you have. I should go back and say bus depreciation. Also, you can only depreciate buses a certain amount, each bus a certain amount each year. We could depreciate more if the board wanted to. The transportation fund is a permissive levy, meaning the board could levy as much as they wanted to that was appropriate. Let me get back down to retirement. Retirement funds, how much goes into teacher retirement systems for the teachers that are currently working. So if we have a science teacher, he's making so much, a certain percentage of that goes into the retirement for when he does retire. He can take that district fund that was levied at that time. Adult education. This runs our adult education program and our Running Start program. And so we utilize this in a lot of different ways. It's also a permissive levy, so the board could levy as much as they wanted to that would be appropriate. And we've been doing a similar amount for a while now. And again, it's utilized at the high school level. You can use it for ages 16 and above for various activities, and then also for our adult education program. And then our building reserve. Now, there have been some changes with building reserve over the course of the past few years. We levy a certain amount, and the state matches a certain amount. They match up to about 20%. And so if we levy $43,000, part of those funds, about $15,000, is going to be coming straight from the state. And so we want to maximize how much we're going to levy. And if we maximize that out, they're going to maximize their match. So about $44,000 is the target that we want to focus on. And then our debt service, like I mentioned, it's to pay off the activity center. And we will have it almost all paid off at the end of this year in June 2023. Then we'll have $25,000 for each district, $25,000 for the elementary district, $25,000 for the high school district to pay off. We have considered if we had leftover money in June of 2023 to just pay it off and be done with it. Because you can see that's a considerable amount for both of those districts. And so I won't go through the high school district in much detail, but the high school general fund is $1.4 million. The transportation is $340,000, and then bus depreciation is a little bit more. And some of this is actually getting carried over from last year. That's why you see this mill amount. And I didn't go over what a mill is. I will here in a second, but some of this is carried over, and that's why that's a little bit lower. But a mill amount is how much you have. Let me go to this next. Is your total taxable value times 0.001 is what a mill is worth. And so a mill is determining how much you're going to be taxing a household. And I'll get to that here in just a minute. Retirement, the reason why this is blank is because it is levied countywide. So it's going to be, it's going to have a different mill value, because the value of the mill is going to be different across the county as it is compared to what it is just across the district. And so the big thing that boards usually like to look at is how much is it going to change, how much is it going to affect taxes, how much change is there going to be. So for a market value house of $100,000, and we have 285 mills, that's the total that we have between these two different districts, 285. Last year's taxes were $386. And this year's estimated taxes almost identical. There's going to be a reduction in taxes by $1.45, and you'll see something very similar with a $200,000 house. And we could calculate that out to a $300,000, $400,000 house, but that's typically what boards like to look at. Again, you can go through and look at the total market value and compare it from years past. The market value has gone up, thankfully. However, the taxable value is barely getting back to what it was when the mine shut down. So after this time, where the taxable value was $6.9 million, so a mill was worth about $7,000. We're still at a mill stuck at about $5,700. So we're building it back up from when the mine shut down. And you can see what it is at the elementary school too. The value of a mill is about $7,600. Back when the mine was in operation, it was about $8,700. And so we're getting our taxable value back up to where it used to be, and that's a really, really good thing. Also, I included the detailed budgets. So when you go into this detailed budget, it's going to be probably pretty confusing. This second page here is going to show you the summary of all these other pages, all these other, I don't know how many pages are in here, 50 other pages. But here's the general fund. This is identical to what I had posted in the summary. $2.1 million is the general fund. This is how much we have in reserves in case there was an emergency and we needed to jump in and get some reserves, and we've only had to do that one other time for retirement. And you can reserve up to 10%. So hopefully we wouldn't have to get into those reserves, but if something catastrophic did happen, there was some funding there that we could. And then we have other revenue. This other revenue is coming from state or county taxes, and then this is from the district property taxes. And so this is how many mills it's going to take to levy the total amount that we need. Transportation, you can see $380,000. Bus depreciation, same. One thing I do want to point out is retirement. We have $65,000 in reserve, but last year we had some that was unreserved and reappropriated. We had some leftover. You can see also in bus depreciation we had some leftover, and that just gets reappropriated to utilize the next school year. For bus depreciation, that's what they expect you to do. It's just reappropriate it from year to year, so you don't have to levy $100,000 to buy a brand new bus. Actually, a new bus is about $130,000. And so that's what is expected with that. And with retirement, you always want to build in a little bit of a cushion. Again, that was one year that we did have to delve into reserves, and that was a state issue. Every district in the state had to do that. And so this is the summary of the entire budget. And you can go through and read through a little bit more through these different items and where the funds come from. A lot of it is very confusing, but I can help out. Trinette can help out if you do have any additional questions. So that was the elementary. High school, again, it looks the same. Go past the signature page and get into the summary part. And you can see how much we want to have in reserves, how much is reappropriated with the buses. Again, that's why the amount and the mill amount is so low with bus depreciation, because we have so much that is getting reappropriated. If we didn't have this reappropriation, this number would be a lot bigger. The taxes would be that much higher. I would like to point out the debt service. This is again for the activity center. Once we get this paid off, that's going to reduce taxes home for a $100,000 house, $200,000 house. It's going to be considerable. It's going to be noticeable. It's because it's 8.6 mils right now for a household. So that'll be, I think, something pretty exciting as we look at the budget in the August of 2023. Last, the discussion item, kind of our work session. Every year, every August, we talk about firearms and weapons. This is required by law that the board review this. We usually don't have to spend too much time on it. And then lastly, we'll walk through the high school facilities as a work session and see some of the updates, answer any questions, and then just get some feedback on how we can improve any of our safety, security, or any thoughts that you do have on our facilities. So thank you, and again, just let me know if you do have any questions. I'm around by email, or you can text me, or you can call me, or stop by the office. Thanks.